Welcome to Rams Iconic, presented by 1800 Tequila, the best taste in tequila. Please drink responsibly. I'm D'Marco Farr, and we have an amazing show, a What in the World show. You'll hear about that in a minute. My next guest played 20 years in the National Football League, all with the Rams. Wow, a 7-time Pro Bowler, 3-time first-team All-Pro. His 259 games played is a franchise record. Will never be broken, even by a punter. So Ethan Evans, just forget about it. Please welcome, big welcome for Hall of Famer, Jackie Slater. What's up, man?
Hey, nothing much, Marco.
How are you, sir?
I'm doing fine, sir. I'm doing fine.
I did not know you dyed your hair until like 5 seconds ago.
We weren't supposed to talk about that.
Yes, we are. We can talk about it. I had no idea. Yes, sir. It's good to see you, man.
I had to try to fool him as long as I could.
You didn't fool anybody, Jackie. You played 20 years, brother. 20 years. You can't sneak up on anybody. Yes, sir.
I had a good time, DeMarco. I really enjoyed it. It was never a day's work. It was something that I loved doing, and probably I wasn't making the money the guys making nowadays, but I would have done it for a whole lot less.
I heard that. Well, I know you had fun. I'm not sure if your opponents did. I was one of them. I know it wasn't that much fun to be up against you. It was actually terrifying the first time I saw you.
Well, I don't know about all of that, but I did believe in practicing the game the way you want to play it. And fortunately for me, I came up during a time when we had pads on all the time. Shorts and shoulder pads on a Friday, but on Wednesdays and Thursdays we were in full gear all during the regular season. And certainly you know how training camp must have been. So we hit all the time. We practiced on our skills that we needed to use in the games to run the plays that we were running. And we did it full speed. And to me, if I didn't have a good week, then I wouldn't feel very comfortable going to the games. And in fact, I will say to you that I worked a whole lot harder. Some weeks the games was a whole lot easier than the practices.
You know, all these bits and pieces come back when I think of you. Our first rep, I'm going to get back to that. But you used to say football is a big man's game, and you would like to eat as much as you could before the game so you can be as heavy as you could possibly be. That always shocked me because I was thinking the opposite. I want to be light. You wanted to be heavy and go out there. Yeah,
it was just the way I felt about it, and I felt I was going to be burning a lot of calories, and I always felt that my motto was football is a big man's game, and a good big man is always better than a good little man, and so. Back in those days.
Back in the day, I took that as a taunt. See, I thought you were talking right to me, but go ahead. Yeah.
So back in those days, I wasn't the type of guy that, wanted to do anything where I felt like I didn't have enough energy, that I hadn't fueled my body properly to put forth the effort that I was that I felt like, was, game-changing effort. So I ate a lot of, carbohydrates. I ate a lot of protein and, a little bit of everything to keep my weight up and to make sure that I was strong and fueling my body for the job.
I mean, I think you might have ate my weight back in the day. But, okay, so tell me, let's start at the beginning because this is the stuff I don't know about you. I came in 1994. I think that was your 19th season by then?
Yes, I retired in 95.
We moved to St. Louis, and you had the 20th year there, so that was year 19. So I remember you. I saw you as a kid growing up, but I don't remember you before professional football. So you went to Jackson State with Walter Payton.
And Robert Brazile.
Yes. I mean, what was that like to be on the field with Walter Payton? Did you know back then that he had a chance to be great and one of the greatest?
Well, I was in high school right there in Jackson, and his freshman year was also his brother's senior year, I believe.
Oh.
And they were just tearing it up. And I'm thinking to myself, man, these guys are really, really playing some good football over there. Well, after my senior year, the head coach and Walter Payton came to my house to recruit me to go to Jackson State.
Walter came with the coach?
Yeah. And so I'm feeling pretty good about it because they said to me, hey, we're going to have a special team, da-da-da-da-da. And, and I'm thinking about, because I was a defensive tackle. I never saw myself being an offensive lineman. because the coach said to me, you know, you and Walter are going to anchor my team for the next several years, and we're going to win a lot of games. And I'm thinking, okay, Walter's going to be on offense. I'm going to be leading the defense, and, you know, here we go. Mm-hmm. As soon as I got there, the first thing they did was put me on the offensive line. And I almost actually left Jackson State because of that, because I wanted to be a defensive lineman. But relative to Walter Payton, This is what I'll say. I used to look at him in practice, and I would say, how can I possibly duplicate some of the things that he's doing that I'm watching and seeing with my own two eyes playing this position? I could see myself doing some of it as a defensive lineman. You know, you don't have the constraints, the restriction of plays and directional things you have to do. You can just be an athlete and, you know, a little bit more reckless. I could see it over there, but as an offensive lineman, I just couldn't imagine what it would take to duplicate not only the effort that Walter Payton was putting in, but the dazzling, and it was just, he was just a freak athlete with an unbelievable motor and motivation. And I thought to myself, there's no way I could do that. And it was disappointing to me that I couldn't achieve what I was looking at practice every day. And then it dawned on me, well, maybe I'll just go hard, see if that'll make a difference. Instead of meandering through practices, I started going as hard as I possibly could.
So let's jump to the 80s. So 1983, in walks Eric Dickerson. And all the stuff that comes with. You guys must have been rock stars in the mid 80s in Los Angeles.
It was a special time.
I bet it was a special. Any stories you can relay that won't throw anybody under the bus? Because I can only imagine you guys were superheroes here.
Well, we were really treated special. It was one of the times as an offensive lineman where as I look back on it. And I can also think of another time, but with a little bit more contention, was when Jerome Bettis came here. But when Eric Dickerson came, John Robinson, he said to me, we got a pretty special player. I didn't know. I never heard of Eric. I didn't follow college football that much. I had no idea who Eric Dickerson was. And then when I saw Eric Dickerson, I'm thinking to myself, you know, this guy's, you know, he's got the height of a wide receiver. Maybe you put some weight on him and let him play tight end. But, you know, most of the good backs that I've ever been around and played with, they were short, explosive guy like Kyron Williams. You know, the guys can change direction and explode into the line of scrimmage. This guy's long, he's lanky, he's a long strider. I just don't see where, you know, how this guy's going to be any good with the way John Robinson is talking about him. And, you know, so we just went about. I remember John Robinson stopping to practice a couple of times and telling me, man, you got to hit this hole. You got to hit this hole. And I'm thinking, oh, that's what I expected. Par for the course. He can't even hit the hole. And then come to find out, they put a stopwatch on Eric, and he was hitting the hole faster than anybody on that particular play, but you couldn't see it in his effort. He was just that explosive and just that fast. And it was just so smooth. You know, you didn't, the little guys, you got to see their feet hit the ground 50 times before they cover 10 yards. And Eric was doing that in 2-3 steps.
Wow.
So it was fun to see that we had that kind of a guy. And I remember the longest run that he had in the history of his Ram career was, I think, an 85-yard against the Jets. And, you know, our guys were just, it was like a cartoon trying to see those guys you know, seeing those guys trying to catch up with him in space. He was a real special individual. I will also share with you that I'm always appreciative of a guy that you're a support role player for, like a quarterback or a running back, who will come and acknowledge that you are a part of his success. You know, that always makes you feel good. Historically, and I don't know how they do it now, but historically, the good running backs that had the great years and the good quarterbacks, and I played with 21 different ones at the Rams, the good quarterbacks that had the good years, they would honor the offensive linemen because we were the unsung guys and all of that. And you know, nobody was ever noticing us and all of that. But the thing that I remember about Eric Dickerson that was really, really encouraging to me as a young guy, he came up to me one day, we were talking, he said, Jackie, he said, have you ever gone to a Pro Bowl? And I said, no, I've never been to a Pro Bowl. And I'm in my eighth season. Yeah. I said, no, I've never been to a Pro Bowl. And he pointed at me, he said, you're going this year. And I'm thinking to myself, well, I don't know how he knows that, but it hadn't happened in all these years. So let's just see. And sure enough, I'm assuming it was just something about, maybe I thought this over 100 times. I thought maybe the plays that I'm blocking on and doing my very best work, he likes them and he can have some success off of these plays and they'll see me, da-da-da-da-da. I don't know what his thought process was when he said that to me, but I know it just it emboldened me and made me feel really good about the effort that I was already putting in.
You know, even to this day, the first thing he says when he's breaking down a football team is, do they have any blocking? Like, he really appreciates the O-line. Mm-hmm. And every big run started probably coming off your right hip. You know what I mean? That's where it usually ran off there. But just, is that your favorite O-line group, your favorite 5 guys that you played with? You had so many different line combos, but during that 5 years with Eric, I mean, you guys, as an O-line, became celebrities.
Yeah, that was a good group. We were hard-working guys.
Who was on that line?
Let's see. You had Pankey.
Yes, Irv Pankey.
You had Ken Hill.
Yes.
Doug Smith, Dennis Harrah, and myself.
Who was on the poster with General Blade and the 5th Battalion?
Those guys
right
those
there.
Guys. You got that poster around here?
Please put that poster up. The Jim Everett, General Blade with Jackie with the shirt on. Yeah. Got the meat showing. Come on now. Yeah, with a grenade.
I had it going on back then.
You had it going on back then. Yes, sir. Yeah. That's your favorite
But we
group?
had a good time. We had a good time, and we were a close-knit group. And, you know, the best offensive line coach that I had was the guy named Hudson Houck.
Yes.
And Hudson Houck was at USC, and he was spitting out Brad Buddy and Don Mosbar and Anthony Munoz and all these guys.
Absolute legend.
Good running backs. You know, Marcus Allen taking advantage of all this good blocking that was going on. But I never met the guy. And then when John Robinson came to the Rams, and, you know, before John Robinson came to the Rams, you know, this little bald-headed guy would come down and sit in our meetings and be taking notes. Yeah. And I didn't ever take the time to learn who he was or meet him or anything. I just recognized a little bald-headed guy. Well, then when John Robinson came and he introduced his staff, well, there stood the little bald-head.
Okay.
It was Hudson Houck. So
glad you were nice to him.
Yeah, I'm glad I was nice to him. I'm glad I was nice to him because he was a very determined person, and he was, you know what I mean, I had some things by this time that I didn't want to change, that I thought I was having success with, and he wanted me to change them, and I just couldn't, you know, I couldn't go along with him. I fought him tooth and nail, and finally they got rid of a couple of defensive back corners that were about my age, and I always equated corners with tackles. You know, you get rid of the tackles about the time you get rid of the corners.
This is true.
Yeah, you know
that works out. Yeah, that works out.
And I'm thinking, okay, well, I better go and try to work with this guy a little bit closer. So I went and told Hudson, I said, listen, I said, I'm gonna try this stuff that you want me to do. I said, but I don't believe in it but I'm gonna try it.
Okay.
And sure enough, man, some of the things that they were just technically sound advice. It revolutionized the way I played the game.
So 94, I come in as a rookie, and like I told you, I was there to make the team. I had no friends, and it was the same as with Tyrone. I made D tackle, and they said, we're just going to test you. Can you play end? I said, absolutely. So let's go out there and line up at left end, and I want you to take a pass rush against him, meaning you. Right. And they tried to tell me, Sean Gilbert, Mark Boutte, David Rocker.
Oh, you were loaded with guys.
Loaded with dudes. So they tried to, Fred Stokes tried to warn me.
Goodness.
He said, look, when you get in the stance, if he blows a snot rocket down on you, he's just messing with you. Right. Don't let him get in your kitchen. Right. Don't let him get in your kitchen. Just do your thing. So I come off, the ball's moved, I come off the rock, and Jackie, you hit me in the throat with both hands. Pa-pow! And my head snapped back. And I remember looking at the O-line coach and the head coach, Chuck Knox, are you going to say something to him about what he just did? And they were like, no. Welcome to the, see, you don't remember a single thing. Right. But I just remember, and then it was the next rep, you gave me what they called smoke protection. Do you remember that? That's that 3-step, and this is a Jackie thing where he would go 1, 2, 3, and then lunge at you with his head.
With a headbutt.
With a headbutt, flying headbutt. Okay, so I've always wanted to ask you about this. So I came in 94. You guys were kings of L.A., and then all of a sudden, we're getting ready to move to St. Louis. When did you hear? How did you feel? Why did you come to St. Louis?
Well, I mean, I was, first of all, I was following that story. And I'm at the end of my career. I'm dealing with some injuries. I had busted up my tricep, and I was still trying to play after I had had a surgery on it in my 19th year. The thing that really kind of got me was I'm thinking, okay, I'm getting ready to end my career. I know I'm done. And I'm not going to be able to end my career here in Los Angeles where I've played all of my football, here in Anaheim, And so as the thing begins to, progress relative to the move, I'm thinking, should I retire? Should I, I'm probably going to retire. That's probably what I'll do. Mm-hmm. I sit down and I talked to Rich Brooks, and I told him, I said, I think I'm about ready to retire. And he said, I thought you were going to play 20 years. I said, nah, I don't think I'm going to be able to get that done. I'm going to retire. So I went, and I was retired. In my mind, I was thinking about going through the steps. So I go to church that Sunday, and I see my old roommate and still good friend of mine, George Andrews. You remember George Andrews?
I do remember George Andrews.
Yeah, he was a first-round pick out of the University of Nebraska. I think in the year we went to the Super Bowl, the year after. And anyway, I saw George at church, and I said, George, I told the Rams yesterday that I'm retiring. I just got to go through all the specifics about doing that. And he said, man, I thought you were going to play 20 years. I said, well, that was the plan as I got this far. And he says, man, it's a shame that you can't get that 20th season in. And bing, when he said that, I thought to myself, I'll be doggone. I really should do that. And so I went home from church, and I called Rich Brooks on the phone, and I told him, Rich, I've changed my mind. I think I'm going to try to play my 20th season, even if it's in St. Louis. Mm-hmm. And he said, well, come on back, let's talk about it. And so I met with him, and we talked about it and everything. I was going to report to camp like everybody else, go through the practice like everybody else, and then see where, they at that particular time, they thought they had a replacement for me, and I think Darryl Ashmore.
Big Ash,
you remember him?
Oh, yes.
And then I just, I just went through the process, and one thing led to another one.
I'll never forget that game. That was the day the Dome opened in St. Louis.
Yes,
and we were
was.
playing the Carolina Panthers.
Yes.
20 season, and we carried you off the field.
It was unbelievable.
I was so proud. I had the right butt cheek. That was me. Yes, sir.
It was a lot of fun, man.
Yes, sir.
It was a lot of fun.
Real quick, I got to ask you before we get out of here about the Hall of Fame. And 20 years, like you said, that story about the 20th year is awesome. Were you shocked when they called you and said you're going to be enshrined in the Hall of Fame after 20 years, 245 games with one team? You knew that you were a Hall of Famer?
Well, I suppose that's an interesting question that you asked me. When I came to the Rams, the day that I came to the Rams, right after I met with Don Klosterman, when I left his office, I was interviewed by a local guy in the papers. And he asked me a bunch of questions about what were my goals, I still have this article. It's framed and it's at home. And he asked me what were my goals. I said, well, first, I want to come here and I want to establish myself as a good backup. And I want to be dependable to play wherever they need me. I said, then from there, I want to be a starter. And I want to play a long time. And I want to be considered one of the best that ever played my position when I retire. And I want them to consider me as a Hall of Famer. I said that. My rookie, I still have the article at home.
For all the people that you have beaten up over the years, I wish you had a chance to lock up with Aaron Donald just to see what
No. Wait a minute. Let's not get carried away.
You can't get back. You can't back out now.
Listen, let's not get carried away.
I would love it, Aaron. He's right here.
People,
come get him.
Listen, let me tell you something.
Yeah.
I tell people all the time.
Yeah.
There's no shame in my game when I say this.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could have blocked that guy. Listen,
I respect you. There's no way.
I blocked. Yeah. I know I could block Reggie White.
I've seen it.
I know I could block Too Tall Jones.
I've seen that too.
I know.
Yeah.
I can block Jack Youngblood.
Okay.
And I know I can block Fred Dean. But I can block Howie Long.
Jackie?
But I don't know. When I looked at him, listen, there was nobody ever watched a Ram televised game. Nobody ever watched a Ram televised game when Aaron Donald was playing that had eyes on him like I did.
Yeah, every snap.
I watched everything he did.
Oh, yeah.
And he could beat you with the basic of things at any time.
Wow.
He was unbelievable, man. I've never seen a more dominant defensive player play in the line of scrimmage in my life.
All right, that's a wrap on this episode of Rams Iconic, presented by 1800 Tequila, the best taste in tequila. Please drink responsibly. Thank you to Jackie Slater for spending some time with us. I'm D'Marco Farr, and we will catch you next time if Jackie lets me live through this.